Esteem and honor to the Most High Yahweh way Yahushua HaMashiach. John 5:39. We're gonna hit something that he just hit a little bit, just to be a little bit more detailed, so you understand why that statement in Proverbs 29 was there, and Deuteronomy, and it's in another place. Some of y'all know it, some of you don't. Some of you may not remember it. You know what I'm saying? John 5:39 though.
It says, "Search the scriptures, for in them you think ye have eternal life, and there they will testify of me. And ye will not come to me that ye might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that ye have not the love of Elohim in you."
That's good. We start right there. He said, "I know you. You don't have the love of Elohim in you." Read that Proverbs 29. You had her again. He said, "He know you." We read something in Proverbs chapter 8 about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks, and we're gonna read it again. Cause he said, "I know you. The love of Elohim is not in you." Matter of fact, before you read that, give me 1 John 2 and 15. Because I want to show the difference, and probably we're going to use King Hezekiah this afternoon for a contrast, because his story is pretty long. Because remember I told you last night, when you look at the flesh, the nephesh, that's your emotions and that's your appetites. When you look at the ruach, those are the things that are of Elohim. And when we look at the attributes of the things that Elohim, they encompass these things: being Kadesh, having long suffering, having mercy, being abundant in goodness and truth. You know what I'm talking about? Joy, peace, faith. All of these things are of the ruach. These things are not based in emotions, and they're not based in your desires or appetites. See, the only way that you can destroy your flesh or your nephesh is to no longer be reined in by your desires and appetites. If you are reined in by your desire and emotions, then you show yourself to be a man and not God. You know what I'm saying? Psalms 82 and 6 does say ye are gods, right? And sons of the Most High, but you'll die like men. The Master turned around and told you the same thing. So you can't say you're a child of God and then you still move by your emotions and your desires. When I say move, meaning that you make decisions based off of your emotions and desires. Your flesh will always be present, so you will always have emotions and desires. It's making decisions off of them. See, some people get sad, and then when they get sad, they want to go get drunk. You know what I'm saying? They may have not wanted to go drink any alcohol until they got sad. You know what I'm saying? Some people get angry and kill people. You know what I'm talking about? Or some people have that emotion of covetousness where they're desiring something, and then they will do anything to acquire whatever it is that they're desiring. Do you know what I'm saying? So just because you have an emotion does not mean that it has to dictate your actions. The minute that you allow your emotions and your desires to dictate your actions, you are a person of low discipline and complete and lack of self-control. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if Yah moved by his emotions, he could have allowed anger to wipe out this whole nation when they were bucking in the wilderness. But he moved by the long suffering, which is indicative of his spirit and his character, and not by the anger that I feel at this moment that I want to kill every last one of y'all because you don't listen. Do you know what I'm saying? See, y'all don't sit back and look at that. Some of y'all done got angry with your children and want to slap their whole wig off. And then you thought about it and you showed them some mercy and you didn't go by that anger that you were feeling at that particular time. Somebody who is moved by their emotions is truly a weak individual. I don't care how strong you think they are. If you go by that's why most people end up having sex with people they ain't got no business having sex with. It's strictly desire or emotion. You know how many people be out here trying to fill a void sexually and sleep with multiple different people trying to fill a void? And they don't get nothing filled. All they end up was a whole bunch of children and nobody there to help them take care of. You know what I'm saying? Or with a disease and then wither away. Go ahead.
1 John.
Yeah, 2 and 15.
It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him."
Now, you know why the difference of that is? Because the world encompasses everything that is of desires and emotions, anything that is not of God. So there's nowhere in the world the love of Elohim. That's why he said, "I know you." The love of Elohim can't be in you. Because you love the things on the manifestation of this carnal plane. That's what you love. That's what you desire. That's why when he rebuked Peter that time, he said, you savor the things that be a man and not of Elohim. See, when you are the flesh, you're going to always desire the things that are of man and not the things of God. That's why he say the flesh is contrary to the spirit, and it's not subject to the law of Elohim, and neither indeed can be. And those are things you have to sit back and look at. You can make your mouth fry fish, but your actions show that you're not a God if you do certain things. You're not going to be able to convince me. How can you tell me you spiritual and commit fornication? How is that even possible? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. How could you tell me you spiritual and you shot a man because he said something you didn't like? How could you tell me you spiritual if your brother offended you and you couldn't even forgive him? Yet you want to go to Elohim, who says he is a ruach, and he's forgiven, and ask him for it. And he remembers that you're dust, But you can't remember that your brothers does. Ain't nowhere in the world you can convince me of that. Because that's contrary to what's written. You know what I'm saying? A nigga can get caught up doing all manner of stuff and basically a nigga wants you to feel sorry for them for doing wrong or feel like you supposed to uphold them while they doing wrong. Absolutely not. We read it already. You see how Paul was feeling when he slid in there and them niggas in there sleeping with each other mama. He ain't look at nobody and say, you know what, brothers, that's okay, you know. Stay strong in the faith. This man hot. You niggas nasty. And we're going to get to that with that Proverbs 29 in a moment. Go ahead.
It says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, it is not of the Father, but is of the world.
It's of the who?
Of the world.
It's of the who?
The world. And the world passes away, and the lust thereof.
The world does what?
Passes away. But he that doeth the will of Elohim shall abide forever.
He'll abide for what?
Forever.
So you know the flesh doesn't abide forever, does it? Proverbs 29 and 26. Read it for me. All we're just doing with this here is being detailed. That's all. Just being detailed, so you can know why this is why is this statement made.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 26.
What does it say again for us, please? That's the verse you had?
No, that ain't the verse I had.
Here's the verse you had. Huh?
You got me. You got me going.
Yeah, that's all right. Shoot, what Proverbs 29, 26 say in what? I think I remember what it say.
It says, many seek the ruler's favor.
Many do what?
Seek the ruler's favor.
And what else?
But every man's judgment coming from Yahuwah.
Every man's judgment come from where?
Yahuwah.
Say every man seek his favor though, huh? Mm-hmm. I think that worked out well. Just keep that in mind. Go to that. What Proverbs you had? Call it out for him.
I think it was 26. 24 and 26?
29 and 24. Whoso partner with a thief.
29 and 24. Come on.
All right. It says, whoso partner with a thief,
Whoso do what?
Partner with a thief.
What else?
Hateth his own soul.
They hate what?
His own soul.
Okay.
He heareth cursing and bewareth not.
What you think he would? I need scripts. Who partnered with a thief? Don't worry about it. Psalms chapter 50 and verse 15. Make it 10. Nah, 15 is better. 10 is too high. Nah, we don't want no lunch, cuz. You close it. You ain't got no Doritos in the new one.
Psalms chapter 15.
50 and 15. You got some Doritos in there? He gonna open the flap like you got some Doritos.
No.
But what you open for then? This nigga here, man. Fire this nigga. Y'all seen them niggas out there falling? They had them niggas falling on the floor out there at Reigns or at Lee last night?
It was Shabbat. I ain't know nothing about that.
Nah, seen a news story. They say they thought them niggas was out there shooting at the Reigns Lee game last night. Said they was out there shooting. Well, it wasn't nobody out there shooting. I guess it was a shooting out there last year. Said them boys don't know how to act. But I think the white folks were probably sensationalizing the story though. Psalms 50 and 15.
It says, and call upon me in the day of trouble.
Call upon you when?
In the day of trouble.
What else?
I will deliver thee, and thou shalt esteem me.
Uh-huh.
But unto the wicked Elohim said.
Unto the who?
The wicked.
Unto the who?
Wicked.
What about him?
What hast thou to do to declare my statutes?
He say, what does this wicked person even got any business speaking his word for?
Or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth.
How dare you mention Yahushua HaMashiach out of your mouth? What else does he say?
He says, seeing thou hateth instruction.
You hate to be taught.
And cast my words behind you.
And just disregard everything that I say. But what else does he say?
When thou sawest a thief.
When you saw who?
A thief.
What did they do?
Then thou considerest with him.
Is this not the same thing it just said in Proverbs 29 about partnering with a thief?
Mm-hmm. And has been a partaker with adulterers.
Been a partaker with who?
Adulterers.
Oh man, what else?
Thou givest thy mouth to evil.
You give your mouth to what?
To evil.
Oh my goodness, what else?
And thy tongue frameth deceit.
Frame deceit. Now let's pause. Now when you take these two things and put them together, what you think you get from that? Give them Deuteronomy 24 and 7. Make it all the way clear. See, this is what I was talking about last night. When we read that in Proverbs chapter when we read that in Proverbs last night, when he said, you know, debate your cause with your neighbor and don't discover a secret to another. Because what did they do with that secret? That secret wasn't talking about don't tell nobody what somebody told you. It say don't discover the assembly and lead them to them. Don't betray nobody. Don't betray the people. Which he started with that. When we started in Matthew 26, he said the person that betrayed me is at hand. So we got to see who partnered with this thief, who is the thief, and what did they consent to, and what was the evil that they spoke. And you can see the difference between flesh and ruach right there, because you're going to see what was their driving factor that even caused them to do that. See, we just read the story, and you're not looking at the causing factor which caused them to do that. Go ahead.
It says, if a man be found stealing,
If he be found what?
stealing any of his brother of the children of Yasharal, and make merchandise of him, or sell him, then that thief shall die.
That thief. Now they call this man a thief for taking the man and selling him. You know what our law say? Are you supposed to take your brother? You supposed to sell your brother? What does the law say in Leviticus? He told you that you will not rule over each other with rigor, but you are my servants. Do anybody remember what the day of Jubilee is for?
Forgiveness of debt.
It's to set free your next of kin if he has sold himself. So what are we looking at when we take these three things here, especially this verse right here when he's telling them not to do that? These men were trying to keep you in bondage so that you could not be set free. And they were trying to pay a different. This is one of the reasons why Peter tells you that you were not redeemed with corruptible things like silver and gold, because that's what you were redeemed from during the time of Jubilee. You were redeemed with natural things. You know what I'm saying? These men that we about to look at, see, they were trying to stop your redemption. But let's look at the first and foremost thing, and let's look at John chapter 12. Because y'all, like I said, some of y'all might remember the Psalms 50, and some of you may not. Some of you have never heard it before at all. But this is for you to know why this is written in John, so when you see certain aspects, because you don't think that's funny that the book would just say if somebody partners with a thief just out the blue? You don't think it's funny that it say you consent with a thief? Then you say this thief heard you cursing or damning and didn't say nothing about it. Because what does the law say you're supposed to do when you see somebody doing wrong? It say, anywise rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. You're supposed to told him. That's why Paul wrote in Ephesians, don't have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Rather correct them. But as you know, you just had a conversation. Nigga don't want to be corrected. But if you dead wrong, if a nigga, you know when a nigga dead wrong, when they call you and try to justify being dead wrong to you, and they volunteered that to you. It's not like you came to them. It's different if I come to you and say, boy, you know you're wrong for that, and then you try to justify your wrong. You volunteered this. So that means you are already sitting upon your own soul and in your own spirit, already knowing you wrong, and you're really trying to make yourself feel better about it, and then you trying to convince me to go along with it. If I'm already not agreeing with you on that particular tactic. I told you last night, ain't none of you nigga trying to do nothing to go to jail. You ain't finna run with nobody to do nothing to go to jail. If a nigga knock on your door, tell my boy, we finna rob community first today, boy, you be like, boy, I ain't going, boy, I can't do that 10-year bid. Do you know what I'm saying? Somebody come to you and say, yeah, boy, let's go commit this sin. You be like, shoot, nigga, I'm down. That don't make no sense though. But you know that somebody just ain't gonna say come. They're enticing you with that sin. How you scared or not? You don't want to go to jail, but you don't care about going to hell. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Because ain't none of y'all finna do nothing with nobody to send you up that road. You ain't finna do nothing with nobody to send you up that road. You ain't finna go pull no murder. You're not finna pull no aggravated assault. You ain't finna do nothing. And you know why you don't want to go to jail, and you know why you don't want to go to prison. Because you don't want to be laying in no cot 3 times and getting these old garbage meals. You don't want nobody telling you what to do. You want to be able to move around freely. You don't want to be captive. But yet you live in sin every day and remain captive and want to run. Ain't none of y'all hanging with no felons and no criminals, but you'll hang with sinners every day. Because what's the difference? I would like to know the difference in the parallel, because it ain't none. It ain't none. You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of y'all finna be like, boy, I'm finna hang out with my homeboys on the block. Boy, no JSO can pull up on you at any time. Yet you'll hang with niggas on the block who committing sin knowing Hamashiach can pull up on you at any time. And not just cracking that sky open either. Because he could just come visit you like he did Herod when he didn't want to give him this thing. He smote him with a plague in his bowels and his stomach fell out. And he died on the spot. You know what I'm saying? Don't be sitting there looking at it. Well, shoot, he ain't popped that sky open. Shoot, he ain't came back. That ain't how he got to visit you. Who told you that's how he got to visit you? You better ask Korah how he visit. Or you can't ask him because he's under the ground. You know what I'm talking about? And he died. Imagine like this here man getting swallowed alive. Buried alive. You know it's a horrible way to die. But the only other horrible way to die is to drown. And he drowned with dirt, not water. And guess what? And everybody who was with him died right along with him because they were running with him. They all went to jail with him. That's why I admit that you can hang with whoever you want to hang with, and you can listen to whoever you want to listen with, but don't be crying when they got you in there. See, because you can't snitch your way out of here. You can't snitch your way up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Hamashiach ain't come tell me, here go a Newport. Tell me what you know. You know what I'm talking about?
I already know the scope.
It ain't no like this here. Here go a McDonald's burger. You gonna tell me something? No, you going to hell with him. You know what I'm saying? You can snitch your way up out of the chain gang. You can't snitch your way up out of that. That man don't want to hear nothing, especially if you knew better. Especially if you knew better. He gonna be like this here. I expected that from these niggas, not from you. How many of y'all done looked at somebody you knew personally that ended up getting caught up in a crime and going to jail? And you be like, boy, that nigga knew better than that. Boy, that was just dumb. I don't even know why he was hanging with them people. You know the first thing you like to scream? They know they was a bad influence, yet you hang with sinners, and the book tell you the same thing. So don't try to see, but you know what I like to see? See, that's just with the word. No, all that stuff the same. It's all the same. Some just because they not committing crimes in the natural sense and man sense, if you committing sin, you committing crimes. They still committing crimes. They committing crimes against their maker. You nigga more scared of a white man. That's bad for business. But say you don't like white people though. Say you don't like their system. Say you won't stand for the pledge. You might as well sing the national anthem, nigga. You scared of them anyway, because ain't none of y'all trying to go to jail. I know ain't none of you trying to go to jail. I can't say I wasn't trying to go to jail because I was doing things to go, so I was fully prepared to go. I would have liked if we could have avoided it, but I was prepared to go though. So guess what? When you live in this sin, you prepared to go to hell. So when you get there, don't say like this here, oh man, that's where you was ready to go at. You got to be ready to go. I was ready to go. You know what I'm saying? But you selling rocks, you know you going to jail. Ain't but a matter of time. You may not go for a long time, but you know you eventually you going. There's very few people in the drug game that never got arrested. You shot out, you did that. I ain't gonna call the police on myself. Nevertheless, but shoot, you committing sin, you definitely calling y'all on yourself. I tell you that. I tell you that. You definitely doing that. Definitely doing that. Come on, man. I mean, I really want y'all to really consider that. Ain't none of y'all finna go hang with nobody. Ain't nobody finna be riding with nobody. Why he gotta tell you, oh yeah, I got 3 keys in the trunk. I got 500 pounds of weed, man. Wasn't this saying pay the fool? You know I gotta do drop off too, B. Come ride with me. Ain't none of y'all finna ride with nobody doing no drop offs. You ain't finna be riding with him. You know what I'm saying? I heard brother earlier today, he talking about you got to do, and I remember dude told me that. He said, what you mean you can't go in a strip club or in a regular club? You supposed to witness the gospel. Man, ain't nobody in no club looking for no word, man. That's why they in there. Hamashiach ain't going in there, so why you going in there? I done told y'all that before. Some of y'all used to be in the club. You look like you used to go in the club dropping the low all the time. All the time. Your friend laughing, so she know you was. So you know you was. And I guarantee you, if somebody came up to you, I want to tell you about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, you gonna hit that nigga in the head with a pop. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be in here. You ain't looking for that in here. So you got to pay attention to that. I remember you ever seen that black lady they had? It's about this old though, 6-7 years ago, talking about the gospel from the stripper pole. Yeah, a black lady in Atlanta preaching the word. Say she was a stripper, had a sheer top on, so all the niggas would focus on was that they saw her nipples. Cause you know in these days of time, anybody preach the word, they don't care. And niggas will listen too. Somebody listening to her. She got video. She don't keep making it if ain't nobody listening. Go ahead, man. I need John chapter 12 and verse 1. Let's listen to this here, right? You heard 3 places about a thief. 3 places about a thief. You heard the one in the law. You heard one in Psalms. You heard one in Proverbs. Come on. After John 12, Matthew 26. And then we slide right on out of the way on them.
It said, then Yahushua 6 days for the Passover.
6 days for when?
The Passover came to Bethany.
Where he came from?
Where Lazarus was.
Yep.
Which he had been dead, whom he raised from the dead.
Hold on, before we go. Oh, go ahead. I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
It said, they made him a supper, and Martha served. But Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Mary a pound of ointment and a spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Yahushua and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment.
Yep.
Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon,
What did he say?
Simon's son, which should betray him, why hast thou not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor?
Sounds pretty noble of him, don't it? Listen what he say.
Then he said, not that he cared for the poor,
He didn't care nothing about the
but
poor
because he was a thief.
because he was a what?
A thief.
He was a what?
A thief.
So that means to tell us that all those things that we just read were talking about Judas. That Proverbs 29 was talking about Judas. That Psalms 50 was talking about Judas. That Deuteronomy 24 was talking about Judas. Because he sold his brother for merchandise. Let's look at Matthew 26 and verse 1 and let's see when he did it. And why did he do it? Because they did not want your redemption to be had. See, in John chapter 11 and verse 45, the priest talked about it. We'll lose our place and our nation. So it was showing their carnal mind state and their thought process. What were they moved by? They were moved by envy. Envy is strictly an emotion, and definitely an emotion that no man should ever have towards another man. Do you know what I'm saying? No man should ever be jealous or envious of another man. Because if you a jealous nigga, you just a weak nigga. Ain't even nothing you nowhere about that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no woman got no business being jealous of another woman. But a man walk around here jealous and envious of another man, somebody gonna go ahead and get him them things you be selling. Because that's what he need. He need that cherish. That's what he need. Straight up and down. Ain't no man got no business being jealous of another man. Straight up and down. Get that nigga some tampons, some Always, get him anything. Ain't got no business doing that. Because anything another man can do, you can do. Now, of course, with the word, whatever gift that y'all give one man, if you serve y'all faithfully, he'll give you a gift according to the measure of his goodwill to do whatever he need to be accomplished. But all you see amongst people in the word is jealousy and envy of other people. I ain't never been jealous of another nigga in my life. For what? For what? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. I want what he has. Well, nigga, get off your black behind and go get it then. You know what I'm saying? For real though. You around here envious of another man for jealous, that's just weak. Because jealousy and envy moved him to do what? Kill. Jealousy and envy moved Cain to do what? Kill. And what was that behind? Emotions and desire, because they were carnal. He was carnal, so he was thinking carnally. That's why Genesis chapter 4 says what it says. If you do well, you'll be accepted, but if not, sin lay at the door. So anytime you moving according to your emotions and desires, then sin will always be at the front door of your tabernacle, accessible and ready for you to attach yourself to. Go ahead.
It says it says he was a thief and had a bag and bare that what was put therein.
All right, Matthew 26 and 1. I already know he was. That's where y'all to know that. You need to know why the book called Judas a thief. You don't just need. That's the only reason why we looked at this here, because some of y'all already knew this, and I knew some of you did not. You don't need to read that verse and be like, "Oh, it said Judas is a thief." Now you know why it says Judas is a thief. Because when you read these verses, you can put all this stuff together. And then that John 10, when he said he come to steal, kill, and destroy. Because when you read John 13, it said the adversary entered into Judas to go do what he did. And then you see that these are attributes of the nephash, or of the flesh, and not of Elohim. Elohim ain't got to steal from nobody. Elohim ain't jealous of nobody. Elohim ain't envious of nobody. So how can you say you his son or his daughter, and then you possess these attributes and move by them? Therefore, you would be a son of the devil. Go ahead.
It said, and it came to pass when Yahushua had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples,
What did he say?
"You know that after 2 days is the feast of Passover,
Yeah.
and the Son of Man is to be
Betrayed. Crucified.
It said, then assembled together the chief priests.
Assemble who?
The chief priests and scribes.
So who are those that partner with the thief? It's the chief priests and scribes that partnered with him. Because they the ones put the money up. They the ones consented with him. Go ahead, but let's see how they hear the cursing.
It said, and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas. It said, and consulted that they might take Yahushua by subtlety and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people.
Drop to verse 15.
It says, and said unto them, what will ye give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they covenanted with him.
There go your partnership, or an agreement, or an oath. Go ahead.
It says, and from that time he saw opportunity to betray him.
So from that time forward, he sought the opportunity to betray him. So the curse was to kill this man. Because we know that's a curse. That's not of the law. You ain't supposed to kill nobody. Does not the law say you shall not shed innocent blood? Does not the book say that this man finds the shedding of innocent blood to be an abomination? This is what they partnered with this man for. Now, what ended up happening, didn't it say in the law that that person got to die who do it? Let's look at Matthew 27 and see what happened to Judas. It's just for those of y'all that don't know, if you ain't read it for yourself, because you need to know why I say he a thief. And that when the purpose of that is the saying on, like in Luke, where he tell you that your kinsman or your mother or your father will turn you over to the beast. Because people will covenant and they will partner with thieves and they will take you out and they will sell you out. They will betray you because of their desire and emotions and their flesh, because that's what they move by. When you look at every single solitary person that did anything contrary to this word, it's because they were moved by their emotions or the desires at that particular time. That's why the book say all this stuff is written aforetime for your learning, but you read that stuff and skim over it though, and you're not look at what this nigga just did. Look at why he just did what he just did. I need to learn to. There's a lot of things in life I never experienced. You know why? Because I learned from the people around me. I didn't have to experience it myself. I watched what he did. I know when I get in that situation not to do what he did. See, you know how most niggas is? They don't like to listen. I want to learn it myself. We don't learn it the hard way. You got to get bust upside your head when this person had already went through it for you. You know what I'm saying? They've already went through this already. And you sat there and watched them go through this and seen what happened to them when they went through it, and then you was dumb enough to follow in their footsteps. That'd be the saddest part when you look at all our people who come in families where everybody sell drugs and they watch everybody in their family go to jail or get killed and follow right behind it, thinking that it's going to be different for them. See, what happened to him, that ain't going to happen to me. You know what I'm saying? Ain't going to happen to me. I ain't gonna be the one. Then he doing 25 years, and guess what he ended up telling his little brother, little cuz to do? Don't go out there selling dope like me. Why would he listen to you? Cause you was doing it. Maybe I'll be the one that I can get the millions and ball out and never go to jail. All your ancestors, the book tell you that everything that these people went through was for an example. That you should not lust after evil things. So you know how stupid we have to be to do everything that they did? And you got an example of what not to do? I'm talking about us as a generation. You know how dumb we got to be? Do you know how stupid our people was? That this man said, the only way I won't kick you out the land is if you do one thing. You know what that one thing was? You know what chapter Jeremiah I need? Give me Jeremiah 23, I believe. It might not be 23. It could be 23. This man told his people, if you just do one thing, I won't put you out. Just one thing. He ain't asking for threefold. This man got 613 different directives. He only asked him to do one thing. Just one. No, it's not 23. I got to remember where it's at. I don't know where it's at looking at the report. No, I got to remember. It's in my head, but I'd rather you read it off the page, though. I can tell it to you word for word. Nevertheless, we find it when we find it. He told him just keep the Sabbath. That's all he told him to do. Just do that. Just sanctify my set apart day. Keep it as I told you to keep it, and you can stay here. Them niggas said, nah, bro, we gonna do our thing, you know. I hear you on that. But you know, I'm trying to go hang out today. I'm trying to sell this wheat today. I'm trying to offer this corn today. You know what I'm saying? My neighbor's wife looking kind of nice, so when he slide out to go to the temple, I'm going to slide back behind him. Because Jeremiah told you that every man neighs after his neighbor's wife. That's why I said that. You know what I'm talking about? So they all deceivers and walk with transgressors and revolters. They was wilding. They was laying with animals. They were laying with boys. They were laying with anything. I'll mention anything that's in the law so you can understand how perverse and crooked your people were. You know what I'm talking about? Any idol you can think of worshiping, they were serving it. And all this man told him to do was just keep the Sabbath. That's why I told you that last night. I believe 95% of our people in the world right now view the Sabbath as a burden. Because everybody seem to do stuff on what we call Saturday, and it might be your only day off from work, and this, that, and the third. You don't have a delight in it. Don't even look forward to it. Drag your feet, this, that, and the third. It's not a delight. As if this day, the day is not for us. You know what I'm saying? As forth as the people who preaching across the world, this is his day. That's what we forget. This is his day. He sanctified this day so you could have no distractions from him, so that you could honor and esteem him. But we look at it like you look at Sunday church. Wrong attitude to have. You know what I'm saying? That's why he told you to pray your flight wasn't on the Shabbat. Because them people knew, your enemies knew that every Shabbat, everything shut down in the land of Yasharal. And you could find where every brew was at. Because they were going to be in that temple, or they were going to be at that synagogue. They weren't going to be at the house. They were going to be at that temple, or they were going to be at that synagogue. In their particular province, if they were far from Jerusalem and couldn't get to that temple. That's where they were going to be. And they were going to be there faithfully. They were going to be there faithfully. So all our enemies knew that, but we could kill them all. We know where they at. That's why some of you read the Apocrypha in the time of Maccabee. That's why some of them kept their fire on them at that time. Some of them say, you know what, I'm going to keep my sword on me because boy, these people going to slide through. Because one time the Grecians came through to fight them, and the boys didn't fight back on the Sabbath. And Judas Maccabee told them next time they come around, they're going to catch that wreck. Because we ain't finna sit here and let them do us like that. I know some of y'all may not be familiar with that. That is historical, though, with Maccabee. You know, some of the rest of the Apocrypha are questionable, but Maccabees is historical record. Those things actually did happen. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what happened. They came through, murked us on the Sabbath, and the boy says it's the Sabbath, we can't fight. So they just sat there. They say, not next time, buddy, because your enemies knew. Your enemies knew. If our ancestors looked at that day as a day, I'll be honest with you. If we look at the Sabbath as a burden, then you look at his kingdom as a burden. To be honest. Because he said that kingdom is going to be a day of rest. You're going to be resting in a land of unwalled villages, in your tents. Just that, like you have to look at that, right? We don't get Ezekiel 46 form. Look what you're going to be doing in the kingdom. So how you think you're going to make it in the kingdom if you view it as a burden now? Because you're going to be keeping it there, and you're going to have to go up to the temple there. Ezekiel 46 form.
It says, thus says Yahuwah Elohim, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Shabbat it shall be open. Mm-hmm. And in the day of the new moon it shall be open. Mm-hmm. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate.
Who going to enter in there?
The prince.
So that's Yahushua entering in there.
And shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate. The people of the land shall do what? Worship at the door of this gate before Yahuwah in the Shabbat and the new
in the when?
Shabbat. So
you're going to be doing it in the kingdom. So if you don't have a delight for it now, you think you're going to make it in the kingdom to do it? That's what I say. If we look at it as a burden now, you're going to look at it as a burden then, and you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. Because they ain't going to be no, oh, I don't feel like getting up. He said, you ain't got to worry about it because you ain't going to be here to get up. You know what I'm talking about? That's just how you got to look at it. Like, it's just that serious. Because everything that's in the law is pointing to the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? If you sit back saying that you want to be able, because I'm going to get to that part where he read in Isaiah 35 about that. If you want to get to that point where you see this man's face, everything that we do in this man's word is the proverbial seeking of his face in the spiritual sense so that you can actually see his face in the literal sense. Because I know some of y'all have probably sat back and thought about what it would be like to see Elohim face to face. Not just see Yahushua face to face, see Abba face to face. Like he's right there, I can see him and live. Because the law says you can't look at him face to face and live, correct? How many of y'all done thought about what it would be like to see Abba face to face? So then if you sit back and you say you want to see this man face to face, then you can't be partnering with no thief then, and you can't be consenting with him either, and you can't be casting his words behind your back, and you can't be taking his statutes in your mouth, and you wicked at the same time. Because then you're no different than Judas and the priest. And he going to have to slay you. Matthew 27, because we took a detour. That's why I told it. Matter of fact, give me Jeremiah 6 and 10. I told it to you last night, but I want you like this here, man. That's how people sit back and look at it, is his word is a burden because it's all this other crap you worry about doing instead of saving your soul. What I care about what sinners doing for on the Shabbat? Why do I care what they doing? It's for it's being with them. Man, I'll holler at you niggas when it's over with. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's questionable in and of itself. If I holler at you on that point. Because that's what we sitting back looking at. And one thing you should have been deriving from looking at all these kings is the negative influence they had on the people because of their behavior. This is why the book say cast out the scorner. You know what I'm saying? Get the evil from among you. Cast him from out the congregation because of the negative influence. The negative influence, that's it. It's nothing personal. Do you know, and praise y'all for Yahushua for, you know how many of us would be dead already if we had to follow what was in the law? You know how many of y'all would have been stoned because somebody caught you worshiping another idol? Do you know what I'm saying? You know how many of y'all who done had children out of wedlock wouldn't even be here to have this conversation? Because you played the whore in your father's house, therefore you would have been stoned when your husband took you and found you not to be a maid? Do you know how many dudes would have been stoned because they went to lay with a woman they ain't had no business laying with because she hadn't been betrothed to them? Do you know how many niggas would have been dead for stealing bubble gum out the corner store? Do you know what I'm saying? So then when you, because that's what he said to do. That if you caught them, he said you supposed to be the first one to stone them. And he said he didn't care if it was your wife, your mama, your son, your brother who's as your own flesh. He said he didn't care. Not to have no pity. He said to get that evil from amongst you, because that's what his concern was. That once the people seen this happen, then the people who will remain would fear Yahuwah and respect and reverence him and say, I ain't going out like that. Because that's what you niggas do when you see somebody go to jail. You scared of Johnny Law then. You scared of the second district of the state of Florida then, because you don't want nothing to do with Melissa Nelson. You know how many niggas was running around here talking about Angela Cord? They were scared of Angela Cord. More scared of Angela Cord than they is of Yahuwah. How bad? How sad is that? Who is Angela Cord but an ogre-looking white woman? And before Angela Cord, they were scared of Harry Shorstein. That's who you be scared of. Scared of Lenny Curry, scared of Nat Glover, scared of Rutherford, scared of all of them. I don't want to go to jail. You know, the police pulled me the other day. I looked at crack in their face so nasty. You know, pull it, talking about, you know your headlight out. Yeah, I know it's out. You got any guns in here? I just showed this man I was Ubering. Are you serious, man? With his homeboy coming up the side, flashing his light in the car. I'm like, crack, ain't no dope in here, man. You ain't got to do all that, buddy. You really think I'm finna be transporting dope with Uber people in the car? Are you serious? And then he gets right there, I got some crumbs or some peanuts, right? He talking about, what is that? Oh, you think it's crack? Go ahead and lick it off of you then. It's crack then. You really think I'm gonna have crack laying right here in plain view and I seen you pull me over? You don't think I would get rid of that before you walked up to the car? You know what I'm saying? I was like that before the word. Police pulled me over is utter disgust. You know what I'm saying? You disgust me. And I got 100 rocks in my pocket. I'm still disgusted. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all you, because I don't fear you. I understand how some of our people be kind of nervous when the police pull them over because they murk niggas. You know what I'm saying? But you don't be nervous when you around your own people killing you. Some of you go in the hood all the time. You don't walk around there nervous about that nigga standing on the corner gonna shoot you. So why am I nervous about the crack gonna shoot me? I done seen too many times where crackers run niggas off the block. I ain't going nowhere. I done been standing on the block, rocks in my pocket, he pull up, but I'm not going nowhere. I would not give this cracker the satisfaction to see me run from him. You know what I'm saying? You could call it dumb, you could call it probably whatever. I wasn't finna give him no satisfaction to think it was 1872 again. We got us a nigger on the run. No sir, I ain't running. I don't fear you, I don't see you. And knowing the word, that's how you should feel. You should not fear no man walking this planet. I don't care if he got a gun on his hip, I don't care if he got a badge on his chest. Who is he to fear? I mean, you can't fear Yah, you fear man. And if you serve Yah, what you scared of dying for? You only scared of dying because you know you're going to hell. Straight up and down. How many of y'all in here scared to die? If you are, it's all right. See, that's what the word supposed to take that fear of death away from. See, before you knew, that's why he said in Hebrews chapter 2 that all your lifetime you were subject to fear because of bondage. because of the bondage of death. You feared that because you didn't know how you was going to be freed from that. So now if you serve a Mashiach and you've been freed from death, you have no reason to fear death. What is death? Death ain't nothing but a state of sleep. You know, when you wake up, you'll be with Elohim forever. So shoot, you're doing me a favor. That's how Paul looked at it. He said it was better for me to be dead and go be with the Lord. That's how he looked at it. He said, but it's more profitable for me to stay alive. That's why Elijah said, go ahead and take me right now. I'd rather come hang out with you. You know what I'm saying? That's when you actually secure in your faith. You actually know how you actually living, so you know you're going to receive a full reward, so you could care less about hitting the grave. Because death don't hurt the person who dies. It only hurts the people who left behind. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they ain't going to catch what they going to catch till they get woke up on Judgment Day. But when you die, I guarantee it ain't going to hurt you. You just sleep, just the lights go out. Hold on, I got you. It's just the lights go out. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. It's just the lights go out. It ain't that bad. I promise you it's not. If you look at this book, it ain't that bad. They just fell on to sleep. That's what it said. It ain't that bad. Unless you die painfully. Then it's kind of bad and then it fades away. Go ahead, man. In 10.
It says, to whom shall I speak?
To whom shall I what?
I speak.
And what else?
And give warning.
And give what?
Give warning.
Go ahead.
That they may hear. Behold, the ear is uncircumcised.
It's what?
Uncircumcised. And they cannot hearken.
They can't what?
Hearken.
They can't listen.
Behold, the word of Yahuwah is unto them a reproach.
It's a dishonor.
They have no delight in it.
And they don't delight in it. That's what I mean, how we take it as a burden. It's a dishonorable to us when we hear it. We don't delight in it. It don't bring no joy to your heart. And joy is one of the fruits of the Ruach, or the attributes of Elohim. That man word should bring joy to your heart. Even like they say, even if you dead wrong to it, because you got an opportunity, if he so see fit, for you to come back. Come on back, man. What was that for that? I wanted Matthew 27. 27 by 3.
It said, then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned, and that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? See thou to that. And he cast down the pieces.
You see, and let me tell you something, right? And that's how a nigga who sinned with you, that's how they do you. Because now he done sat in his mind that I done did something wrong. And now he want to turn from it. And what they said, oh, you see to that. How many of y'all done did something, whether it's sin or not? Did something you knew wasn't right, and then you told the people you did it with, like, boy, that wasn't right. They looked at you like, shoot, sound like a personal problem.
Oh, it's done.
Oh, it's done. That's a wicked nigga, don't care nothing about you. They used you to get a particular aim done, or whatever pleasure, or whatever monetary, whatever the thing they were trying to get from you. Because I'm going to tell you something like this here, right? Nowhere in the love of Elohim will he cause you to compromise his word or lead you outside of it. So if an individual is leading you outside of that, then you know they're not of God. Period. Because we know the scribes and Pharisees, regardless of the fact that it was written for Judas to do that. Let's just say for the instance that it wasn't. They were coming to him to influence him to do something wrong. He went along with it like a dummy. And then when he realized his error, they say, shoot, you need to see to that, cuz.
Okay.
That's your problem. That's how they looked at him. That's your problem. That's a wicked nigga, boy. People do people like that every day. Every day. Go ahead, man. Let's see what Judas do with himself.
It said, and the chief priest took silver pieces and said, it is not lawful to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. And they took counsel and brought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. It says, therefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day.
Well, yep.
Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by...
Okay, that's good. We know Judas hung himself. Give me Romans 8 and 5 real quick. And then John 6 and 63. We got to roll. We got to hit King Hezekiah at 422. I ain't forgot about what you asked me neither.
It says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Ruach, the things of the Ruach.
Yep.
For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and shalom.
Yep.
Because the carnal mind is an enmity against Elohim, for it is not subject to the law of Elohim.
Yep.
Neither indeed can be.
Can't be.
So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Elohim, but in the Ruach, if so be that the Ruach of Elohim dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Ruach of
That's good. That's
Mashiach,
good. Now we didn't read Matthew 23, right? But you know, the master said that the scribes and Pharisees were hypocrites. He also said in another place that their leaven was the leaven of hypocrisy. The reason why I'm mentioning this here is because when we look at the scribes and Pharisees, they were of the flesh. So there was no way that they could please Elohim. You know, I was talking to a brother, you know, sometimes people say you shouldn't talk rough to people when they come to get the word, right? But then, you know, did anybody remember what John the Baptist said to the scribes when they came around there to holler at him? What did he say to them? He said, who warned you to flee from the wrath to come? You generations of vipers and snakes. He said, bring forth fruit. He didn't sit back and say, oh, brothers, I'm glad to see you. He said, what who told you wicked niggas to come around here? Oh, serpent nigga, you better come correct or don't get your stinking behind from around here. And you know how some of us would feel? That's not right for a man of God to say that. He already knew what type of time these dudes was on. He knew that really they was only coming around there to peep what was going on and try to find fault so they could do something to him. Because they were more concerned that the people was actually listening and following John versus what John was saying. See, we know that because when the master said the immersion of John, was it of men or was it from Shamahim? And they said, we cannot tell. He said, I won't tell you where I come from either. Because they said, if we say it be of men, then the people might stone us because they regard John to be a prophet. If we say it's of Elohim, then he gonna say, why you ain't listen? That's why John smashed them niggas like that. Hello, Henry. That's why he smashed them like that. The master smashed a lot of people who came up on him with that relish too, because he already knew. See, that's the thing when you actually gotta take your emotions out of the plate and actually look at, regardless if you want to believe, majority of the prophets were some of the most hardest, strictest, bluntest, realest people that you will ever come across. They were also some of the most gentle, compassionate, loving people you would ever come across. But the way they handle business would turn people off in 2017, though. Because of how you done been in that Christian church or how you've been told that somebody who administers the word is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't care nothing about them people's feelings. You know why they didn't care nothing about them people's feelings? Because the words that they were prophesying were coming directly from Yah, and Yah didn't care nothing about your feelings. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care nothing about that. And that's the and your feelings is dealing with. That's why he say it's a reproach to him. It's a dishonor, because when that word comes and it's showing you how contrary you are to it, your flesh is getting pricked. You don't want to hear that. This is why he say he hewed them to pieces with the words of the prophets in Hosea. That's why he said that. That's why he say the word is sharper than the two-edged sword, because he trying to cut away the filth. He trying to cut it away. And you like this here, you want to put an armor on to block it, because you don't want it cut away. Go ahead, man. What I got said?
You said Romans, and you said...
Oh yeah, I said John 6 and 63. Come here, Lizzie.
John 6 and 63. It said, it is the Ruach that quickeneth, and the flesh profits is nothing. The words that I speak, they are Ruach and they are life.
That's your doggy.
But
they are what?
They are Ruach and are life.
They are what?
They are Ruach and they are life.
Go ahead.
But there are some of you that believe not.
There are some of you that what?
Believe not.
Why?
For Yahushua knew from the beginning who that believed and that would betray him.
Okay, that's cool, right? Now we got to sit back, because we're going to... Hezekiah's story is long. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at some aspects of where he walked and what the Ruach say to do, and the times where he went by what his emotions and his desires led him to do. So let's look at 2 Kings chapter 18. Because like I say, his story is very long over the course of 2 different books. We'll start at verse 1 to allow you to get yourself familiar with him. Verse 1. 2 Kings 18 and 1.
It said, now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Husha, the son of Elah, the king of Yasharah, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Yehuda, began to reign.
How old was he?
And he was 20 and 5 years old.
How many of y'all in here 25 years old right now? Could you imagine being over the entire realm and kingdom of Elohim at 25 years old? That's a major responsibility, ain't it? 8 years old, but he had some counselors till he got an age. He ain't even got no reason to think at 8 years old. This boy ain't even like this here, man. He ain't even got no pubic hair yet. I'll tell you, he just want some cookies. You got some sweet bread? Who got some sweet bread? No, they tell you that with Josiah that they had counselors around him. They had counselors till he became of age. Because an 8-year-old can't make no decisions.
Boy can't cook a hot meal.
Yeah, so can't even well, he can reach the stove. He can't even reach the altar. He can't even somebody got to pick him up and put him on the throne. He can't even sit on it. He can't even sit on it. You know, Solomon was pretty young. It don't state his age. Solomon was pretty young when he took over too. And the reason why I'm stating it is how young most of y'all are. So you don't have that level of discernment and judgment that you would have without the word by reason of life experience. You know what I'm saying? Unless you had a lot of experiences in your youth. Do you know what I'm saying? Which most people don't, though a lot of people do. So that's what we were talking about when you're dealing with the word by using it. Actually using it will allow you to determine what's right and wrong according to what he says and not your personal feelings. Because that's when you're dealing with Yah's word, it's two things that should never come out your mouth. What you feel and what you think. Because that's coming out of your soul and out of your nephesh. Now, of course, you know, in some context, you can say, I think this, and you know what I mean when you focus your sentence structure. But when you say, I think, meaning that that's really your personal viewpoint or interpretation of it, when there is no private interpretation, the book interprets itself. It says what it says. You know what I'm saying? It says what it says. And I think a lot of biggest mistake that most people make is you want to try to impart people of what you want them to do instead of just showing them what it says and allow them to make the decision on their own. If they gonna follow, they gonna follow. If they not, they not. You can't make them. How many people has Yah ever made serving? So why we walk around here trying to make people do it? You can't. You know what I'm saying? You can love them all you want to. You can warn them all you want to. You can try to, at the end of the day, if they don't want to do it, they're not gonna do it. And even those who say they want to do it, they don't want to do it. They just doing it for show. Cause I just seen a brother say he made a fake profile with his wife on Facebook. Say he got over 300 friend requests in a short period of time. He said multiple different people in his wife's fake profile inbox talking about they looking for a wife. A lot of them say they were looking for polygamy. Say they dropped them in groups. They got women who claiming they Hebrew talking about they looking for another woman. Do you know what I'm saying? Women who claim they Hebrew saying they looking for multiple husbands. Do you know what I'm saying? And all manner of things. A girl I know inboxed me earlier said she met a dude who was. She asked me, did I believe the master was coming back? I said, yeah. She said, I met this dude who said he ain't coming back. He also eat crabs and shrimp and pork and all this here. And I'm like, yeah. I said, he pump faking. That was the purpose of what the dude was talking about in the video. Niggas be pump faking. And if I sit back and see you pump faking, man, I'm not fooling with you like that. Not at no close intimate level. I'm not fooling with you like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't finna pull me in with that nonsense. I guarantee you that. Because I tell you, I don't care how strong you is, you will eventually be like the people who you continuously surround yourself with over an extended period of time. You know, if you hang with certain people long enough, you start taking their slang. You know what I'm saying? It trades off. It go on both sides. You start using each other's slang. You might start mirroring each other's mannerisms. You know what I'm talking about? Using each other's phrases. Everybody do, because you spend that much time with them. So you think if you spend a lot of time with sinners, that stuff not going to brush off on you? Even if they claim they in the word. Going back to what I stated, why he said you got to get rid of them. Because you think we would sit here and eat and fellowship with a rump ranger? That faggot nigga got to go. You know what I'm talking about? Like if they open with it, like that nigga got to go. Do you think we could sit there and kick it with somebody who openly saying he's sleeping with people's wives? Okay, you got to go home. I don't know where you got to go. You got to go somewhere. You can't sit around here. What up, man? You know how people look? That ain't right. You supposed to love people. Shoot, clearly he don't love God, so what we loving him for? He ain't one of us. That's how he looks at it. You got to remember, look at it from the viewpoint of how he look at it. He look at it here, don't tell me to love somebody, this nigga don't love me. I showed him love. I saw my son down here, let you beat on him, stab him up, hang him up. And this what you do? Get that nigga from around here. That's how he view it. Now I would just ask, what do you do if you're immersed and you sinned after immersion? Now we know that Hebrews 6 say if you have to lay again the foundation of repentance from dead works and to be immersed again, you put them to an open shame. So if you've been immersed and you done sinned scripturally, what you think you got to do? What do you think he would need to do to be able to rectify that situation? It tells you what to do. Paul wrote in one of his epistles what you got to do. Huh? Yeah, you confess it openly, but give me 1 Corinthians chapter 6 before we hit this here, because I don't want to, for my mind slip and I forget to answer that question. It ain't 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Hold on. Give me 1 Corinthians chapter 4, right? And pick me up about verse 20. I'd probably say about verse 18. Now, this is an example we just look at, because it's another place that say the people hadn't repented of their deeds, and I'm trying to recall where it's at in my mind, and it's escaping me at this moment. Now, these people in the synagogue of Corinth were wilding, and Paul had to slide back through. Now, I'm going to sit back and tell you like this here. This is really the simple whole key thing of it if you done sinned after being immersed. There's only one thing that you can do. And that's repent and don't do it no more, and pray that man blots that out and don't remember it. Because you already have supposed to been dead to sin before you did it. When you got immersed, you supposed to already understood and knew that. That's what I'm saying. That's why if I say, hey man, or you ask me, can you immerse me? I'm like, you believe in the Son of God, and do you understand what you're getting yourself into? Because you saying that I'm dying now. Like I told you, that's the purpose of confessing your sins, because you're saying whatever you confessing, I ain't doing that no more. I'm dead to whatever that is. What he mentioned about everybody know the plague of their own heart, because everybody's sins are not the same, yet they are the same. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wasn't into the same things or doing the same things. You understand what I'm telling you? And I ain't talking about like a singular thing. Some of y'all had sin. That's just what you was on. That was your go-to thing. That's what you did to find pleasure. You know what I'm talking about? So now when you realize that you've been immersed into this man death and you ain't supposed to be living under sin, and then you do that, for us to immerse you again would be putting him to an open shame. So clearly if the writer of Hebrews made that statement, that was being done by certain people, immersing people again. You know what I'm talking about? But also we know through the course of these epistles, was not Paul rebuking these people for all manner of stuff they had going on? So that means that they had to just repent and don't do it no more. And don't try to pull the move like I taught with you. Commit a sin and then try to cover it up like that's repenting. That's not repenting. You know what I'm saying? Repenting is turning from that sin and never doing it again. Not trying to do something that makes it feel like, okay, this sin goes away. And we know the biggest thing that people do that with is getting married to stop from committing fornication. What you ought to did is sat back and considered, let us have an extended period of time separated from one another, and if it be Yahuwah's will and he bring us together, then he bring us together. Not get married so you can cover up the fact that, okay, we won't fornicate anymore. Now this is a standard order I'm talking about, because this is something that I explained to him. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what most brews do. They go with somebody, they have sex with them, they figure, okay, if we get married, that'll cover that up. And it's not covering up the fact that there's an issue with your heart that led you to do that in the first place. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the action, it's your heart. That is the problem.
Niggas say that it's about living, it's about, you're not living in that sin anymore, so...
Yeah, of course you ain't living in that sin no more if you know there's something you can do to cast that sin away. But yet that sin is still resonating in your heart because that desire or love, you basically might have got married under false pretenses. Because guess what? If you got married just for physical gratification, then whatever other sin you holding and carrying in your heart eventually will manifest itself in the course of that marriage, and then you still ain't right. Because your heart is not right. Marriage does not cure lust. It doesn't cure it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at, why do I have that thought process to do this particular matter? And then if you sort that out and Yahuwah will that you bring these two people together, then cool. But you need to sort out your heart first. Because I know a lot of people like that verse, you know, it's better to marry than to burn. But these people had not had sex with each other yet. Do you know what I'm saying? These are people who were walking in righteousness together and feeling like, boy, with a little fire in my loins. And say, well, shoot, we need to go on ahead and take care of that. What I'm talking about is, because this is a specific situation, you don't necessarily got to apply it to yourself. I'm just saying, I'm being honest though. It's a specific situation, so I don't want nobody to think it's a one-size-fit-all type of thing. But looking at the fact of, if you did that and you had knowledge of the word before you did it, and then trying to get married thinking that will rectify that particular matter, I don't believe that's a wise thing to do. Because that's not no longer living in the sin, it's covering up the faultiness in your own heart. If you truly repented from that, then you would give yourself space with that individual over a period of time where you refrain from that behavior to see if this is really of Yahuwah and of righteousness. Because if you fell in that sin with that person, y'all had nothing to do with it. That's my point. He had nothing to do with it. I guarantee you, y'all ain't gonna be like this here. Go ahead and hit her, son. It's okay.
You'll be together one day.
You'll be together one day. It's okay if you go ahead and dive in. It's all right. That's my point. So you can actually repent of the deed and mortify that particular deed. Because it's a matter of your heart. Fornication comes from the inward parts, your desire. So you need to look at, why do you have a desire to defile your own body? Well, what he meant is that he says it's better to marry than to burn, meaning you have a desire to lay with your maid. You have not laid with your maid. You're walking with your maid in righteousness. But you and your maid getting a little itchy. You know what I'm saying? He said, you know what? It's better for you to go ahead and handle that to avoid that. Not commit it and then get married to avoid it. That's the difference. Because guess what? Getting married will not cause you to avoid adultery if you still got lust in your heart. It's not going to get rid of that, because eventually that lust of fornication will turn to adultery in the right situation and circumstance, because you have not dealt with that lust. You have not dealt with that desire.
You're married fornicator.
You're just a married fornicator. That's all. They didn't make marriage. Don't make you righteous. Marriage is honorable, whether you be Kadeshim or a sinner. But marriage itself will not make you righteous. And I think a lot of instances, that's why a lot of our people want to get married, so they feel like I can have sex now. So you didn't actually do something to actually show the esteem of Elohim towards man and towards a woman. You did it to fulfill your lustful desires, which means you hadn't dealt with your heart. You know, I would have loved to have that conversation, but that's why I broke it down to you like that, for you to understand. You know what I'm saying? When you asked me about it. That's why I say it's not one size fit all. So I don't want everybody to think that that's the end all be all for everybody. It's just something to consider. Because it's really just deal with your heart. You deal with your heart, everything else will take care of itself. If you don't deal with your heart, whatever that plague in your heart is, it's still going to be there. I don't care what you do. Leaving up little leaven, leaving the whole lump. Little leaven, make the whole, little bit of sin, make the whole lump. Make it leaven, which means he got to cast you out. That's what I'm talking about. Actions don't get rid of the leaven. You got to purge it out. You got to purge it out. Now, like I said, what DC just mentioned, if you've been with somebody for an extended period of time and y'all been walking in righteousness and abstaining, and you feel like you can't contain, yeah, then it's better serve you go ahead and handle that. You know what I'm saying? Because you've been walking together in righteousness. But if you done committed that, you done defiled the whole arrangement.
But I'm looking at that like, how you knowing if that's you being itchy? Because it might not be just your wife you lusting for.
No, it might. I mean, sometimes
you doing it right.
I mean, sometimes if you ain't lusting for your wife, the woman you want to marry, then you need to check yourself. But like I say, like if you've been, because you know we had a betrothal period. Now, how long that betrothal period was contingent on the individuals. So what he's really referring to is in that betrothal period, if you feel like you can't contain, then go ahead and get married. See, that's just lining it up with the law. There was a betrothal period. And that betrothal period, like I say, was mutually exclusive to each individual arrangement. So we're not talking about you courting, you dating, and then you slit her, and then you like, shoot, we might as well just get married. That's our only problem. That's wicked. That's wicked, because you not dealing with your heart, because you looking at, that's how we play Yah. That's my only problem. If I do this here, then I'll be straight. That means you wasn't seeking after righteousness. You seeking for a way to fulfill the lust of your flesh and make yourself feel better about it. No matter what it is. Engagement. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
All I'm really just referencing, mentioning this here is it's your heart. Focus on getting your heart clean and the things that are in you that are contrary to Yah, and then make moves. Cause like I told you when you ran that scenario down to me, sleeping with a nigga and then marrying him a week or two later does not mean that you have not repented. That is not turning. That is not turning. Cause for all we know is put yourself in the right situation and circumstance and you probably do it again. Because you hadn't dealt with the underlying issue. You got to deal with the underlying issue. You deal with the underlying issue because it's about your soul being saved. We more worried about getting married and having love than going in this man's kingdom. What good is it to be married and go to hell? That means you and your children going to hell. Because your mama's stupid, the daddy's stupid, the children going to be stupid. You know what I'm saying? You want to be married to Yah first before you worry about being married to a man or a woman. Ain't nothing matter if you're dating, talking to somebody. That's cool. Ain't no big deal. But make sure you get in that man's kingdom. Seek his love before you worry about the love of another human being. That should be the first and foremost thing that you should be trying to master. And then everything else will fall into place. He'll slide you a virtuous woman. He'll slide you a righteous man. Because you can't make no woman virtuous and you can't make no man righteous if they don't want to be. Shoot, you can't make these children listen if they don't want to listen. Samuel's son should tell you that. Come on, man. Go ahead. What you got? Yeah, 1 Corinthians 4:18.
It says, now some are puffed up as though I would not come to
See,
you.
he said they were proud like he wasn't going to come and holler at him.
It says, but I will come to you in shortly, if you will, and will know not the speech of them which are puffed up, but the power. Mm-hmm. For the kingdom of Elohim is not in word, but in power.
But in what?
In power.
And what else?
What will ye? Shall I come unto you with the rod, or in love, or in the spirit of meekness?
Now you notice what he's saying. If he coming with the rod, what's the rod for?
Punishment.
Correction. Remember what the Proverbs say? Spare the rod. He say, you know what I'm saying? Where he say, if you beat your son with the rod, you'll save his soul from hell. Now, all of these people who he coming with this rod with, all these people have been immersed. If you go read the rest of them letters, all them people have been immersed. So they were wilding. So he like to say, I got to come through and correct them. So that's when it's come down to, if you've been immersed and you done something contrary to the word, you need to repent from it. But not only repent from the deed, but look at what the cause is in your inward parts of what would even move you to commit the deed, and then purge that out. You know what I'm saying? And if you done purge that out, then proceed and move how you need to move. If you haven't purged that out, then you need to get that out before you make any move on any other thing. See, we be trying to do other stuff before we get the stuff out of us that needs to be removed. Because like I said, especially with getting married, you know what the book say about getting married. If you're single, all you got to do is do what? Please Yah. But when you're married, you got to please your spouse. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look on that if you got stuff you haven't purged out before you get married. Because if you ain't purged it out, it might be hard for you to purge it out later. Not saying it's impossible, because that's what Paul said. You'll have trouble in your flesh. He said, but I spare you. Because he was trying to let the people know, I'm not trying to tell you not to do that. I'm just trying to give you a perspective. What you do with that perspective is your choice. Because I think a lot of times when, especially how people hold people who preach the word, they make statements, they feel like they're telling you this is what you should do. I'm giving you the options and giving you an understanding. You have to make that choice because you the one got to live with it, and you the one got to stand before this man's throne. I don't have to stand before this man's throne for what you do. Nor do I have to live with the decisions that you make. All we can do is give you counsel. What does the book tell you about before you make war to do what? The book say before you make war, take counsel first. So you get a recommended course of action, you get a perspective according to the word, what you should or shouldn't do, and then you make that decision as you see fit according to the information that's in front of you. Now some situations ain't nothing to say. Stan White used to tell you when you was working on the Sabbath day, I can't tell you what to do, but I tell you what I'll do. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you what to do, I tell you what I would do. I ain't coming. Do you know what I'm saying? Then he called me, oh, we having a birthday party on the Sabbath. We're having this here funeral on the Sabbath. I told them people finna have a funeral for my dad on the Sabbath. I told them that I will not be there. I don't care who there. He could jump up out the casket and say, where my son at? Shoot, I don't know where he at. He ain't hit him. I'm not coming. You know what I'm saying? Sporting events, like they said, if I had a teenage son, and I'm just saying that because a lot of my peers, we got teenage children from when we was in high school, and that nigga went to go playing football. Daddy, I got a game tonight. I won't be there. I'll never be at now one of your games ever in life. Period. It won't happen. Take it how you want to take it. I don't care nothing about. That's your son though. I could care less what he wore. I ain't going to hell with him. He can go to hell by himself. And the reason why I said that, because most of the time, especially the age that I was, let's say if I would have had a child in high school, it'd have been like 11 when the word came, 10, 11 years old. So then they'd have had a thought process, and especially with their mother, how things would be. So I may have not been able to persuade him out of doing those type of things. You know what I'm saying? But I would have to let him know, son, I love you, you know. But I ain't gonna be here though. I ain't gonna be here though. Period, point blank, ain't gonna happen. I don't care who you is. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. And you can be mad. You can be like, that nigga is this. I could care less. I ain't going to hell for you. You know what I'm talking about? I don't care who you are. I don't care what they got going on. I could have a great grandma finna turn 125. They like, everybody gonna beat it at house. I beat it after the Sabbath. Hope she don't croak before then. Because I'm not coming. And that's how you supposed to be. They'll respect you for it. You know, a lot of time people size you to break this man law because they don't respect what you got going on. Now you got to ask yourself why they don't respect what you got going on. Is it are they just disrespectful, or is your inconsistency to your service to your Elohim why they don't respect what you got going on? Because sometimes some people just disrespectful and just feel like you just supposed to do what they want you to do, and they could care less. Because I know some of y'all done heard that line. Your God ain't gonna mind. He ain't gonna mind. One day it ain't gonna do nothing. Just one day can send you to hell, man. One bad decision can send you to hell. We say, little Stanley, one bad decision cost you a whole kingdom. How many? It cost Solomon. It cost Saul. He lost a whole kingdom. He lost a whole kingdom. One decision could cost you the kingdom of Elohim. You better go check that book. You better check that book. Cost him a whole kingdom. One decision. 1,000 women cost Solomon a kingdom. He had 1,000 women. Come on back to 2 Kings 18. Yeah, you didn't know he had 1,000 women, listen. You didn't know he had 1,000 women. He had 700 wives and 300 concubines. And you know what the worst part was? From the context of what was written, all of them were strange women. And then he got a proverb telling you not to go get a strange woman and drink water from your own well.
I'm surprised
He said he ain't need no Viagra, no Cialis or nothing.
I'm surprised he was living good, boy. No, they weren't strapping up.
Shoot, they had no diseases back then. I feel like a lot of these sexually transmitted diseases are engineered, save for a few.
Cleanliness is uncleanliness. They said it wasn't an issue.
Huh?
There was some diseases.
Yeah, I don't think they were walking around. I know they weren't around here worrying about no AIDS.
Nah, I ain't saying AIDS.
I'm talking about good old AIDS and syphilis and, a little gonorrhea, a little clap. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they had them problems back then.
Let know you clap.
Look,
Let know you
I
clap.
don't think they had them problems.
Y'all thinking like with 700 women, would they use like some type of protection?
No, I mean, it's probably doubtful that he probably was having sex consistently with all of these women on a regular basis.
You don't know a brew.
I'm thinking like the shaft when they said that.
Man, look here, man. He probably laid with all of them at some point or another
In his life.
in his lifetime. But if you think a man can service 1,000 women on a consistent basis, what is he gonna have left to give?
Yeah, he's serving them consistently.
Y'all said 1,000 in his lifetime.
Yeah, in his
What you
lifetime,
gonna
he
have
probably
left to
had-
give? Well, you ain't got nothing left to give.
Took him, brought him to the shelter, put him in the White House.
And you got to remember, a concubine, for all intents and purposes, was just a side chick.
She ain't even getting taken
She
care
don't even got full wife rights.
of. Privileges.
You know what I'm saying? Them 700 though, them was their wives.
But they strange. They might have been in the temple doing the nasty.
Ain't no telling what they were doing. Ain't no telling what they wanted him to do. I can't speak on that. I wasn't there. I'm just telling you.
That what this
He had Egyptian women, Edomites.
Moabites.
You know what I'm saying? Moabites, Ammonites. The people strange. They weird.
Ooh.
Like, I'm dead serious now. If you do a little bit of research, what you call oral sex, that came from those people. Their means of worshiping a woman's vagina was to put their mouth on it. And they were serving Baal Peor. Look it up for yourself. I ain't just talking. Research it yourself. Research it yourself. That's what they were doing. You know what I'm talking about? Same thing with doing it to a man. Ain't nothing but a little Osiris worship, little shaft worship. That's what they into. They were phallic worshipers.
Shaft worship.
They were phallic worshipers. That's what the Washington Monument is. It's just a big old bull penis. An obelisk. That's all it is a bull penis. That's what they were into. Yeah, it's a bull penis. When you see them things like the Washington Monument and things like that, ain't nothing but a bull penis. That's why they put them crosses on the top of them churches. It ain't nothing but phallic worship. Because that's what those people were into. That's where all the things, what older people would call sexual deviation, that's where it comes from. If you actually do the history on it. You're not going to read that in the book. You got to do the history on it, though. That's where this stuff comes from. You know what I'm saying? And then you live in a society now that tell you, you know what I'm saying, people boast and brag about their prowess in oral sex because they feel like this is acceptable behavior. Just like a bruiser say, the book say the marriage bed is undefiled. That wasn't talking about you could do anything in there. You can't get a strap on and hit your husband with it.
They own that though.
Some bruisers own that though.
They own that.
That's what I'm telling you. You think this nigga just being nasty or being like that. It's people, they own that. Wife swapping. Being married to two different women, and those two women are committing lesbian acts on one another, and they saying the bed's not defiled because we married. When that Hebrews 13 ain't even talking about sexual acts, meaning that bed is clean because you're married. If you have sex and you're not married, that bed's unclean. If you married, shoot, you can have all the sex you want to have long as she ain't on her cycle. And you got niggas into that. In the word into that. Like, that's disgusting.
They ain't in the word.
Nah, not literally. Figuratively, yes. That's disgusting. I don't even know how niggas can formulate that in their mind and be like, you know what? I don't care.
You know, they say hop in the shower, man.
Ain't no more shower in the world.
That's what they say.
Ain't no more shower in the world. I'm appalled and disgusted at the same time. I didn't think it was possible. 2 Kings 18:1.
Yeah, verse 4.
Yeah, verse 4. AJ,
Hey,
AJ.
y'all go sit down.
18:4, man.
It says he removed the hot. Well, at 3. It said he did that which was right.
So Hezekiah was a righteous king. Come on with it.
He did that was right in the sight of Yahuwah.
Yeah.
According to all of David his father, he removed the high places and break the images and cut down the groves and break in pieces the brass serpent.
Who knows what's important? I mean, like this here, right? Who knows what the brazen serpent is and why it's important? Who knows what the brazen serpent is?
No, from the wilderness.
What is it, Stanley?
That's what the blood is. And Moses put it up, everybody was healed.
Okay, indeed. Now I want you to read and see what happened. Read and see why he had to break it.
For unto those days the children of Yasharal did burn incense to it, and he called it Neshutan.
So they were around there burning incense to this serpent, to this brazen serpent.
He trusted in Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal.
He did what?
Trusted in him.
He did what?
Trusted in him.
Go ahead.
So that after him was none like him among all the kings of Yehuda, nor any was that were before him.
Listen to him. Listen what he say.
It says, for he clave
He did what?
He clave unto Yahuwah.
He clave unto Yahuwah.
And departed not from following
He
him,
did not depart.
but kept his commandments which Yahuwah commanded Moses.
Pause. Give me Galatians 5:13. Now the reason the key thing what we looking at is you see with Hezekiah is you see an attribute of the spirit because he he trusted Yah. See, you can believe in Yah and then you can trust. You know what it means to trust in Yah? That means you trust him with your whole life, and any and everything that you encounter, you'll seek unto him first before you seek a flesh and blood human being. You know what I'm saying? When you trust in Yah and you in a period of distress, you'll call, like Psalm 62 say, pour out your heart unto him. He's a refuge for us. Say the name of Yahuwah is a strong tower. Those that run into it are safe. So when you face an adverse situation, you'll go after Yah versus going after people. Every time David was in a bad situation, what did he do? He cried to Yah in prayer every single solitary time. Because he trusted that man with his life. That's why he said the steps of a good man are ordered by Yahuwah. That means you're going to be led by the Ruach, and you're going to, like to say, he say those. I'll get it in a second. Go ahead. I don't want to quote it. Go ahead, sir.
Galatians 4.
5:13.
It says, for brethren, ye have been called unto liberty.
Unto freedom.
Only use not freedom for an occasion for the flesh.
See that? Is it? Do not use your freedom in Mashiach as a, and that's what we're going to, because the people who he talking about, they've been immersed too. So he's telling these people, you have this freedom. Do not use this freedom as an occasion to fulfill your desires. And we're going to see a couple instances where Hezekiah did that, where his trust in Yah was not where it should have been in a couple instances. Go ahead.
It says, only use not freedom for occasion for the flesh, but by love serve one another.
Go ahead.
For all the laws fulfilled in one word, even this.
What is it fulfilled in?
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Go ahead.
But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another. This I say then, walk in the Ruach, and ye shall not fulfill the lust.
If you walk in this man's spirit, you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And that's the bottom line. So when you find yourself fulfilling the lust of the flesh, it's because you are not actually walking in the word. You're partial in your service. Read again. Listen what he say now.
It says, for all the laws fulfilled in one word, even this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yep.
But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another.
Yep.
This I say then, walk in the Ruach, and ye shall not fulfill the lust
You
of the
won't
flesh.
do it. Go ahead.
For the flesh lusts against the Ruach, and the Ruach against the flesh.
So these two things are against each other. So one has to win. See, you can't be halfway spiritual and halfway carnal. You either all the way carnal or you all the way spiritual. See, what niggas like to do is they really carnal, but they try to cloak it in garments. They try to cloak it with knowledge. They try to cloak it with certain words to make you believe that they spiritual. And that's why the master said, outwardly you appear righteous unto men, but inwardly you're full of dead men's bones and all manner of hypocrisy and iniquity. Because you look the part, but in actuality you carnal. Which if you have a spiritual mind, you would be able to catch the fact that this nigga flogging. Because you should be able to know that somebody a God based on how they live. Not by what they wear and not by how they talk. Because niggas talk a good one. All that I can say, that was a real congregation I was telling you about. This was a couple years ago when that came out that they were wife swapping. And people would look at them and think that was a real righteous dude. But these boys out here wilding. Go ahead.
It says, but if ye be led of this Ruach, ye are not under the law.
So now you would no longer be under death if you allow the Ruach to lead you. See, pause for one moment. Just stay right there. I got you, because we got the motor up a little bit. I'm going to read you something in Ezekiel chapter 1. I got to remember what that verse is, though. I don't recall where it is. No, doesn't matter. Give me Romans 8:14. It's something in Ezekiel. I can't remember. 8:14. Romans 8:14.
It says, for as many as are led by the Ruach of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim.
So as long as you being led by this man's spirit or his word, then you would be considered to be a son of his. If you walking in the flesh, you can't be considered a son of his. You would be considered to be a bastard. Come on back to Galatians and let's look at some of these things. We're not focusing on the things of the flesh. Let's just look at the things of the Ruach and what you ought to allow. Because this particular matter, as we go forward and deal with the difference between the flesh and the Ruach, we're going to keep on delving into it. Man, why your mama did leave you like that, man? How she feel about you? I thought she loved you, man. She don't love you, bro. Shoot, when Kick's telling you that, and he say you just looking at it.
Now you get mad.
Clearly, I would be too. Go ahead, man. Back to Galatians chapter 5.
Okay. We have verse 19. It said, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery,
Now
fornication.
drop to the Ruach, verse 22 or 21.
Okay, you said you didn't want them. It said the fruits of the Ruach is love, joy.
Right now, who is that love towards? Towards Elohim first. You can't love anybody unless you love Yah first. That's impossible. You got to love Yah first. Then through loving Yah, you'll love your neighbor because you would manifest the love of Yah to your neighbor. Until you love Yah, you could never love anybody else. Go ahead.
It says joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness,
Yes, sir.
and faith.
Yes, sir.
Meekness, temperance.
Self-control.
Against such there is no law.
There's no law that can tell you not to do these things. There's nothing in the word that tells you those things are wrong and you should not do them. Let's come back over here to good old King Hezekiah and let's look at verse 19.
It says, now Rabshakeh said unto them, speak now to Hezekiah. Thus says the great the king of Assyria.
Yep.
What confidence is this wherein thou trusted? Thou sayest, but they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength for the war. Now on whom dost thou trust that thou rebellest against me?
Go ahead.
Now behold, thou trusted upon the staff of the bruised reed, even upon
He said he trusted upon the word.
the staff of the bruised reed, even upon Mizraim, on which if a man lean, it will go into his hand
And it'll do what?
and pierce.
What y'all think that staff bruised reed is? He said you trusted upon a staff bruised reed, which if a man lean on it, it pierces him. Let's pull the word up for that real quick. Like we're in chapter 18, correct?
No, 21. Well, verse 21. 18, 21.
When we look at that word for bruised, we have resats, and that's to crush or to oppress or to grievously oppress. When we look at that reed, which this should be self-explanatory in English. It's kana, it's a bone, a water plant, a reed, a derived meanings, branches of a lampstand or a shoulder joint. So basically a tree or a plant, correct? So what do you think it said when you lean on it? And we done dealt with this before, if my memory serves me correct. It said it will go into a man's hand and pierce it.
I was thinking about
When they pierced him in his hands and his feet. But how does that relate to us as in forth as you talk about mortifying the members of your body? So when you look at Romans 6, of which we're not going to looking at right now for time's sake, it tells you how you are crucifying yourself with him. See, give me Ephesians 4 and 8 and 20 though. Because when you crucify yourself with him or you get immersed with him, it's for the purpose of you coming out different and coming out new. Because I think we looked at something in Isaiah 35 that mentioned that. Oh, yeah. I got something for that. So, go ahead, man.
It says, but ye have not so learned the Mashiach.
Now, Yahushua has not taught you to be a sinner. Go ahead.
If so, be that ye have heard him and have been taught by him as the truth in the Mashiach.
Now, we read the other day, and we read it periodically from time to time, where he tells you to take up your stake and follow him. Remember we read last night that if you don't hate father and mother and all of those things and your own life also, then you can't be his disciple. Whosoever does not take up his stake cannot be his disciple. So if you say you coming up out of, as it stated right there, right? He said you trust upon the bruised reed. Does not Isaiah 53 say he was bruised for our iniquities? Didn't Peter tell you by his stripes we are healed? So you trust upon this bruised reed. So if you say you trust upon Yahushua and you're going to lead upon this bruised reed, which says that even upon Mizraim, and it's going to pierce your hand when you lean upon it, that means that you trust in Yahushua's redemption and his death and his resurrection to redeem you from sin. That's why you don't have no business walking in the flesh anymore if you trust that. Because if you trust that, then you're going to walk in the Ruach, and the Ruach is going to dictate your decisions. It's going to dictate your actions. And you won't have to worry about falling victim to the flesh because that's what you're holding to. The joy, the peace. You know why you're going to have joy? Because you're going to have joy in the word. It's going to bring a delight to you to hear this man's word and walk in it. You're going to have shalom because you destroyed the authority attached to chaos. You're going to have faith because you believe the word as it was sincerely the word of Elohim and the word of your redemption. You're going to have long suffering if people do you wrong. You're going to be gentle. You're going to have the love of Elohim. And most importantly, you're going to have self-control. How can you say you're a child of Elohim and you can't control yourself? No, the book tell you in the epistle of James that if you can control your mouth, you can control your whole body. So you already know if you can't control your mouth, you can't control the rest of you. But if you can master controlling your mouth, you can, hello, little Martha. You can control the rest of you. Go ahead.
It says that ye put off the concerning the former
So
conversation.
you need to put off that old behavior. So if you done got immersed and you done sinned afterwards, it's because you didn't put off that old behavior upon getting immersed. So you need to put that off. Go ahead.
Which is corruption according to the deceitful lust.
Because see that is, you end up defiling yourself or dying because your lust or your desires are deceiving you. Sin is deceitful. It's deceitful. It makes you feel like wrong is right. Go ahead.
It says, and be renewed by the ruach of your mind,
Be born again.
that ye put on the new man, which after Elohim is created in righteousness and
You know how he
truth
said
of
you
God.
got to be renewed in your mind? That means you need to deal with your heart. You need to make a new heart and a new ruach. You need to get the mind of Elohim. You need to change your thought pattern. You need to change your heart. That's what we don't want to do. See, we want to take carnal and spiritual and mix them. But what does the book say about mixed garments? Don't do it. What does the book say about mixed wine? Don't drink it. What does the book say? Do not divert, do not mingle your seeds together. Don't mingle animals together. Why? Because he says it causes what? Confusion. And that's why most people are confused. Because you're trying to take flesh and spirit and mix them. And you can't do it. You're either going to be carnal or either going to be spiritual. But you can't be both. Why you like they got one of them stocking caps like them niggas in jail? Go ahead.
You be wanting to talk to me so bad.
No, I've been wanting to mess with you about that stocking cap for the whole time. I just had self-control to wait till the end.
It's not a stocking cap, but you know how a stocking cap looks. It's not a stocking cap.
I'm telling you, boy, you look like you finna walk up on a nigga like this here. What's popping?
That's your right.
I'm telling you, man. I knew a nigga in jail had a hat just like that.
No, this not a hat.
I promise. I ain't gonna tell you the jokes we used to say to him about that stocking cap either. Cause it's kind of vulgar. I ain't gonna say what we used to say. You don't hear it later though. Go ahead.
It says, wherefore putting away lying, speaking every man truth with his neighbor.
Okay, you good. You come back to Go ahead and give him verse 22.
It says, but ye say unto me, we trust in Yahuwah Elohim. It is not that he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah have taken away. And he has said to Yehuda and Jerusalem, ye shall worship.
Now this is an Assyrian talking to the children of Yasharal. And the reason why we're reading that is that's what sinners do. They tell you, why do you trust Yah? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Get in Malachi chapter 3. That's why we read that. Because that's how sinners come in to entice you. Why you trust in that bruised reed? You lean on it, it pierce your hand, you dying to sin. Why don't you live to sin?
You only live once.
You know, I don't tell you. You know what? He gonna forgive you. He's a merciful. You catch a nigga who do some wicked stuff and the first thing they scream out their mouth and he a merciful God, you better run from that nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Because most of y'all heard that in the Christian church every single solitary day from the most wicked people you ever seen in your whole life. A nigga do something he did wrong and he say God is a merciful God. Not to you, nigga. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. The reason why I say that is because that's not the sign of a repentant heart. That's the sign of a person who feel like that man owe me that. Because he would be like that man in Luke 18. He wouldn't even much lift up his head to Shamahim and smote on his breast and say, Elohim, be merciful me. I'm a sinner. When you know you wrong. You know what I'm talking about? You can say he a merciful God when you've been delivered from iniquity, sin, and death, and you walking in uprightness, and you say there ain't nothing wrong with it. We talking about a specific sin. Y'all know them. Some of y'all went to church and that's all you heard. Pastor got caught cheating on his wife. You know, but he's a merciful God.
He forgave us.
He a merciful God. You know, he go. You know what I'm saying? That nigga wicked. That's wicked people talk. Me and my people used to do this here, right? She used to be like sinner expressions number 665. Because there's certain things that sinners say out their mouth. You know the number one thing they love to say out their mouth? God knows my heart. That's the number one thing. He don't look on the outward appearance. He look on the heart. Them sinner conversations. When they don't even realize, when he said that in Samuel, that he was talking about, they were looking at how David looked. They had a thought process of how a king was supposed to look. That's what that was really, that statement was for. You know what I'm talking about? They didn't sit back and look at David got a beautiful countenance and he ruddy. He can't be the king because he ain't tall and muscular and big like Saul. He said, you worried about how he look. I'm looking at his heart. That's all that was about. Same way somebody can see you dressed in quote unquote streetwear and think you rough and you a thug and you this, that, and the third, and don't know you serve Yahuwah with every ounce of strength and ability in your body. You know what I'm saying? Because they got an idea on how they feel like you supposed to look. The same way, you seen how that lady looked at us when we was in J.C. Penney that day. He said, oh yeah, he preached. They had, because I had on workout clothes. How can he preach? He doesn't look like, what did he have on? You know how many times you used to be in the street and people be like, I would have never thought you would have known that by looking at you. That's your first mistake. You know what I'm saying? That's your first mistake. I don't underestimate nobody. I don't know what you know. I don't know where you've been. I don't know who taught you. I don't know what you've experienced. So I'm not going to come in a conversation and underestimate you because I'm going to end up looking like a fool when it's over. Don't underestimate nobody. That's how niggas get knocked out too. I know you almost got knocked out last week. And white people say you gonna stop trying them on their job. I don't know. We figure it out later. Go ahead.
Malachi
3. Give me verse 11.
It says, and I will rebuke and divide.
Okay, now give me 13. 3 and 13, everybody. Malachi 3 and 13.
It says, your words have been
Stout.
against me. Said Yahuwah, ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee?
What have we spoken against you? What did they say?
Ye have said it is vain to serve Elohim.
That's what. How many of y'all did somebody told you it was worthless to serve God? Has anybody ever told you that before? Some people have told you that before. They just ain't told you that in that direct fashion. I don't know why you keep that Sabbath day. I don't know why you don't eat this and don't eat that. I don't know why you stop wearing this and why you stop doing that. They telling you it's worthless for you to do it. See, you look for somebody. See, you know what some of y'all problem might be is you don't hear what people saying to you, even though they didn't put it in words. Cause you got to read in between the lines. People say a lot to you without saying it to you in their words. People say a lot to you. Do you know what I'm talking about? Sometimes people tell you how much they love you and care about you without actually putting it in the word. And sometimes people tell you how much they don't care nothing about you in their words. And tell you a lot more than what that small amount. Because it could be a lot of words contained in a few words. And it could be a lot of nothing contained in a lot of words. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to be wise enough to know the difference. But little shots people shoot at you. I don't know why you were keeping them feast day. You might well come around here and keep cribbing. Nigga telling you it's worthless for you to do this. Go ahead. Got to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? What 50 say? I got to spell it out for you niggas all the time. Sometimes people shouldn't have to spell it out. You should be able to read in between the lines. Go ahead, man. They say you're talking too fast or you're listening too slow. Sometimes niggas be talking. You already know how people feel about with people who talk fast. They feel like you're trying to get over them. But usually it be the people who be real deliberate and slow in their speech that get over the most. Why? Because you got your mind trained on, oh, that nigga trying to fast talk me, he trying to run one by me. So some kind of people done already, they shift their game. They shift their game. You just got to be listening. You got to pay attention. Shoot. You know how many women, I ain't going to say necessarily tricked, because you still got to be a willing participant, but you know how many women done got tricked out they butt by smooth words, though? Smooth words.
These niggas say you got to be a willing participant.
I mean, at the same token, you do got to be a willing participant. You know what I'm talking about? But at the same, but you might have not had it on your mind. You might have had a little, you know what I'm saying? A little urge in your loins, and nigga come around here smooth criminal. Sliding off like Michael Jackson on you. Don't let him slide on you, boy. Go ahead, boy. Don't let him slide. But that's how Satan come though. You got that urge, you got that desire. You know what I'm talking about? And he coming through. He ain't fast talk Eve.
Yep.
He was real slow and deliberate when he was talking to Eve. Real slow and deliberate. You would not surely die, and broke it down for it all. See, he don't want you to have that, cause you gonna be like him.
Right.
He ain't fast talker. He hit him like that. You know what? That sound tricked out of her butt. Tricked out of her. I ain't talking about sexually. I'm talking about literally tricked you out your hide. You dying because of this. Tricked you out of it. And guess what? And you got to watch for people. The biggest avenue people use to trick people, mix a little bit of truth with a lie.
That's what he did. You know, surely, dog.
The best liars in the world just don't tell outright lies. They mix a little bit of truth in there. The preachers on Sunday be lying all the time, but they get you because they mix a little truth. Jesus came to save your soul. You know that truth, so you believe everything else come after that.
He died for your sins.
He died for your sins. You know, I read that. It said it.
He died for us. You gotta be serious.
Pat that plate round.
Hey, he really just broke that joint down so sad.
I'm telling you, the best deceivers they seduce you. Don't the book say evil men will wax worse and worse? Deceiving and being deceived, they seduce you. And seduction is not something that comes from a fast conversation. Seduction is a long, drawn-out process. And people, when they seducing you by the things that you want, the things that you like, and the things that you want to hear. Because what a seducer or a con man does is they play on your weaknesses, and they play on because they already watch a mark before they come seducing. If you know anything about a con man or seduction, they already watching and peeping you before they even come up and run their game on you. So they already know what to hit. Like I told you about the book Art of Seduction. Everybody in that book, man, Malcolm X in that book. But that's because they have different type of seducers, and he was listed under a charismatic. Ronald Reagan is in that book. Bill Clinton is in that book. Real people, and they give you examples, and most of them they sat back and watch. You know, politicians sit back and do polls and have people do certain things to peak the status of the people, so they speech writers can give them what to say. The only one ain't got a speech writer, Donald Trump. He just say whatever on his mind.
He said what they wanted to hear.
He just told them what they wanted to hear because he had already peeped and knew the angst and the stuff that these people were feeling. Hitler did the same thing. I know how you feel. I'm gonna use that against you. That's why when you look at a lot of women, they get caught up with a man. If that man peep, they got low self-esteem, then they do things to try to hit him with that. If they feel like this woman got insecurities, then that's what they do. That's what the adversary does. He uses your weaknesses against you. This is why he tried to come at the master like that when he had been fasting. That's why he tried to come at him when he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death, because you were in a weak state. That's the only time he pops up. Anytime you in a weak state, you better be looking around, because Satan is sure to show his head. That means anybody who pop up, I don't care who it is, when you in a weak state, you need to watch them and assess them, because they very well could be the devil. I ain't saying that's like that 10 times out of 10. I'm talking about be spiritually aware, because Satan never pops up when you strong. When she out was strong, you ain't see Satan nowhere, did he? He ain't pop up nowhere.
He tried him at the beginning.
But he wasn't strong. He had just been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. He was in a weak state. That's when he popped up. Any other instance, you couldn't find him. Soon as he got weak again, he finna, you don't want to die, nigga. You don't want to die. That's when Judas come around. So that's why I'm telling you that you got to pay attention, because Satan that's what cowards and evil people do. They prey on the weak. That's why the book say the strong ought to support the weak and not to please themselves. Those that are Elohim will support those that are weak and not play on their frailties and exploit them in their moment of weakness. Go ahead, man. Come here, Henry. Finish that out. Come here, Henry. You can't run that fast. I can catch you.
Got like four.
I can catch you. Come here, Henry.
They say, what profit is it that we have kept this ordinance?
They say, what gain do you get from keeping this ordinance? But the gain is eternal life. That's why I said that we look at the Sabbath being a burden, or we look at this being a burden, because we don't look at there's the gain at it in the end. It's something to be gained. Go ahead.
And that we have walked mournfully before Yahuwah hosts. Mm-hmm. And now we call the proud happy.
We say the proud are blessed.
Yea, that they work wickedness are set up.
And that y'all set up a wicked nigga. And that's the point of what we talking about, that if you do something that's wicked, and then we try to flip it and make it seem like y'all set that up. Y'all didn't set that. Y'all don't set nothing up that's of sin unless it's to destroy the participants. Go ahead.
It says, And they, that they tempt Elohim, even are delivered. Then they that fear Yahuwah spake.
That's good. Then he say, you tempt Elohim, even then those that try him, they get saved. And that's what this is what the king of Assyria is doing, correct? Now we running short on time, so come on back to 2 Kings 18. And let's look at what Hezekiah did. Let's look at 2 Kings 19. And let's look at verse 3.
It says, and they said unto him, thus says Hezekiah, this day is a day of trouble and of rebuke and blasphemy. For the children are not come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth.
They ain't got no strength to bring nothing forth.
It may be Yahuwah thy Elohim will hear all the works of Rabshakeh, who the king of Assyria, his master, have set to reproach the living Elohim, and will reprove the words which Yahuwah thy Elohim have heard.
See, y'all heard it.
Wherefore lift up thy prayer for remember.
Now he telling Hezekiah to pray. This is what Isaiah is telling Hezekiah. Go ahead.
To the remnant that are left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah. Isaiah said unto him, thus shall ye say to your master, thus says Yahuwah, be not afraid of the words which thou hast heard, with which the servant of the king of Assyria have blasphemed.
That's good. Now drop down to verse 14 and now what we're going to see out of this here is you see the example of walking in the Ruach, is you seeing peace, because truthfully they had peace even in the midst of adversity. They joy in Yahuwah and they faith and they love in Yahuwah, because even in this instance of an individual seeking to destroy them, they sought after Yah. They didn't follow after their emotions and desires to flee or to go to war to save themselves. They relied on Yah. That's why Judah prevailed above the other tribes, because it said every time they relied on Yah. When Yasharal always relied. We seen that with Hoshea. What did Hoshea do? He tried to buy off the Assyrians because he was going by his emotions, his desires. He didn't have a trust in Yah, so he wasn't going to seek to him. Go ahead.
It says, and Hezekiah received the letter of the hand of the messenger and read it. And Hezekiah went up into the house of Yahuwah and spread it.
Let's look at what he prayed.
And Hezekiah prayed before Yahuwah and said, O Yahuwah Elohim Yasharah, which dwelleth between the cherubims, thou art Elohim, even thou alone. Of all the kingdoms of the earth, thou hast made Shamahim and earth. Yahuwah, bow down thy ear and hear. Open, Yahuwah, thine eyes and see, and hear the words of Sennacherib, which have sent him to reproach the living Elohim. Of a truth, Yahuwah, the kings of Assyria have destroyed the nations of their lands, and have cast their Elohim into a fire. For they were no Elohim, but the works of men's hands, wood and stone. Wherefore they have destroyed them. Now therefore, O Yahuwah Elohim, I beseech thee, save us out of his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art Yahuwah Elohim.
Now pause.
Even thou only.
See, now when you see that there, what he just did on that is that he relied on Yah and Yah alone, period. And he manifested it. And that's what happens when you, because you know what happens when you walk in the flesh and you get in a situation like this, you panic. And see, that goes what Romans 8 say. Who shall separate us from the love of Mashiach? Should it be tribulation? When you say they had a little bit of tribulation? Or distress? Or persecution? He say no other sword or peril or hunger. Nothing will separate us from the love of Elohim, because you are more in tune with walking in the Ruach versus walking in the Nephash or in your flesh. That's the difference of what we were talking about that breath last night. Adam was a living soul. The second Adam is a quickening Ruach. The first Adam went off his appetites, his emotions, his desires. The second Adam went off the word and had a faith, hope, and trust in it. And we have to go from being the first Adam to the second Adam. Going from having the breath that's in your lungs that you're expelling right now to having the breath that will never leave you. Because if you receive the Ruach HaKadosh, that's the breath that will never leave you. And that's the difference. Everybody has the Ruach. Everybody doesn't have the Ruach HaKadosh though. Everybody has his breath. That's why we looked at that last night about he's in all and through all and in you all. And he moves and lives in each and every one of us because his breath is in us. But now you want to get that eternal breath in you. And that's going to come down for you living for him. Meaning you died and lived for him like his son died and lived for us. Because he didn't do that for himself. See, I think that's one of the biggest things we forget about that too. That man did that for you. He didn't do that for himself. So don't you think he would be just a tad bit peeved with you if you've been around here wilding when he get back here? Especially if you professing his name, because the book say the foundation of Yahuwah is sure, and Yahuwah knows all those that are his, and everyone that named the name of Mashiach, let him depart from iniquity. So again, when he's writing this to Timothy, clearly, if you name in the name of Mashiach, wouldn't you think that you have been immersed if you name in the name of Mashiach? So he's letting Timothy know, you need to tell them people, they need to tighten up. Because the last thing I want to do is immerse anybody twice, because then you literally put this man to an open shame. You already done shamed him because you've been wilding. Ain't no sense to this shaming twice. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I know a lot of people believe in, re-immersing people. I don't want to re-immerse nobody because I don't want to take the chance that you be guilty of that man's death. You know what I'm talking about? So it's better served, just tighten up. Just tighten up. You know what I'm saying? If you know you're out of pocket, tighten up. You know what I'm talking about? Then doing you twice. Because literally you'd have been like, I'd have killed this man again. And I don't want that on your head. You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough if you done went outside the way than to put that back on your head. Come on back to Isaiah 35 and 8 where you was at, because it was something you mentioned. Well, it was actually something that I had in Isaiah 35 for last week that we never got to. Because of that's pretty harsh there, trying to save old Uncle Sam. I say it once, I say it twice. What a dude say, Jeremiah Wright. Y'all remember what Jeremiah Wright said when Obama was running for president? He talking about you say God bless America, I say God damn America. He said it's in the Bible too. I said, that nigga sounded like a child. You too young for that. You might have been about 7. That was number 2007. You were probably about 7 years old. You nigga. But now some of y'all remember that. You know what I'm talking about, Monte? Who is? Y'all Google that on your own time. Jeremiah Wright was in there. He was actually in service. He was a Sunday preacher. He was preaching. And this was when Obama was running for president for his first term. So I think he was reading, what was he reading? Was he reading Psalms 138? I know you wasn't no 7 years old. That was 10 years ago. You wasn't too far from 7 though. You was still in elementary school. Yeah, you still in elementary school. What was that? Was that Psalms 138 he read? That was Psalm 138. When he would like this here, so while he was preaching, he was like, they talking about God bless America, God bless America. He say, God damn America. It's in the Bible too. It is though. Not America specifically, but any country period. You know what I'm saying? You have to realize that America, that Europe, that any land that is contrary to the word of Elohim is Elohim damned. It is set and made for destruction. And you don't want to be a part of that destruction. Come on, man, because we got to ride. Isaiah 35 and 8.
It says, for it is the day. Wait, excuse me, beg my pardon. And a highway shall be there and a way, and it shall be called the way of Kadash. Mm-hmm. And the unclean shall not pass over, but it shall be for those. The wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. Now
remember, he said that the wayfaring men is halak, right? Your way of life. You know, Paul said that in one of his epistle letters, you know my manner of life. But he said this set apart way is not for unclean people. Revelation 21 and 24. See, that goes back to what he said in Ecclesiastes, you can't make straight what Yah has made crooked. See, Hamashiach is not for an unclean person. And what makes a person unclean? It's their heart. Remember, he said it's not what goes into a man that defiles him, but what come out. That's why I was telling y'all about that when we were having that discussion about the dude talking about veganism and things of that nature. Because they was like, it makes you spiritual. Nothing you put in your mouth that goes into your belly can make you spiritual. It's the things that emanate out of your heart, which is the joy, which is the faith, which is the love, which is the peace, which is the long suffering, which is the gentleness, which is the temperance. These are the things that make you clean. Because you washed your inward parts with the word. The book say, how can a man clean his way? By taking heed according to thy word. He said, I've hid your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. He said, with the washing of water of the word, that you could be without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. The word is supposed to wash your inward parts, but you got to allow it to do so. That's why he said, wash you, make you clean, and cease from doing evil from before my eyes. Come on, man. Because it's 5:30.
It says, and Elohim shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
I said Revelation 21-24.
I thought you said 21 and 4. I'm sorry.
No, definitely. Revelation, though that we were headed there. We were headed there.
Yeah, that's the last verse, right?
Yeah, we were headed there. Along with a couple other things. Go ahead, though, 'cause I got to crank it up.
It said, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their esteem and honor unto it. And the gates of it shall be shut the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there.
Yeah.
And they shall bring the esteem and honor of the nations into it. And there in no wise shall enter in anything that defiles,
Nothing that defiles.
or neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie, but they that are written in the Lamb's book of life.
Notice that he said nothing that defiles.
Get up.
Leave it alone.
Get up, Mar.
And that's where we go in and talk about ravenous beasts. Now the word for ravenous in Hebrew, that's why nobody unclean is entered into the kingdom. The word is peretz. And you know what it means? It means a robber or a murderer. So we say there'll be no robbers or murderers there. Now 1 John chapter 3 tells you if you hate your brother in your heart without a cause, what does that make you? A murderer. You know what I'm talking about? Then if you look at a violent one, what makes you a violent one? What makes you a violent one is if you drink this man's blood and you eat his body unworthily, then you're guilty of his body and of his death, which would make you a violent one. So when you commit, see, that's why you say the lion, there ain't no lion gonna be there and no ravenous beast, because we know beast is congruent with being carnal. Because the apostle Jude told you about how they were brute beasts. See, you don't want to be no beast, because see, a beast don't have no control over itself. He goes strictly off carnal instinct. When we were walking in the flesh and walking in sin, we were beasts because we deal in carnal instinct. You know what I'm saying? If you had a desire, you fulfilled that desire, whatever that desire may have been at that particular time. You know what I'm saying? Now when you going forth to becoming a son or daughter of Elohim, then you don't go forth fulfilling your desires according to how you feel. You go forth fulfilling the will of Elohim. That's why he say if you love the world, the love of Elohim is not in you. It can't be present. You understand what I'm saying? It can't be present. Because the pride of the life and the lust of the eyes, see, your lust of your eyes, you want whatever you see, you desire that, you want it, you go after it. Your pride does not allow you to humble yourself after the word. That's why I say if you make friendship with the world, you're an enemy of Elohim. And see, those are hard things to deal with, because people got you feeling like, that's why people scared to deal with the word, because they throw that word cult around. And they throw it around because certain people teach the aspects of the word that you're supposed to cut certain things off, but when you actually see it in practice, it seems weird because you live in a society and a culture where people don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And really, when you talk about cutting people off, it's not necessarily throwing the whole person in a garbage can, but limiting your dealings and your dealings with them. It's really what that boiled down. Like it's not saying if your mom and dad is a sinner, you just don't ever go see or speak with your parents. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna limit your interaction with them. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna limit your interaction with people who are outside the word. You're gonna keep it to a certain point. Because some people are stronger than others, and they can deal with more from their people than other people can. You know what I'm saying? Then there's certain people that you gotta cut off completely because they could be a danger to your soul. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some Israelite organizations that say you got to cut off everybody in your family if they don't do this. I'll never tell you to do that. But if you come and tell me, yeah, man, my people trying to get me to do this and do that, shoot, nigga, I'll cut that nigga off if I was you. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? You do what you want to. I know I'm not finna deal with nobody I feel like gonna put my life at risk. Because that's why I use the analogy with crime. If your mom and daddy asked you to pull a diamond caper, you ain't gonna fool with them no more. Because you're going to be like, dang, mom, I thought you loved me. You're going to ask me to commit a crime with you? But you got to look at it in that aspect. If your people came asking you to commit crimes for you to go to jail, you wouldn't deal with them. Not in no close proximity. But they ask you to do things to go to hell, and you don't feel like it's any problem to continue to deal with them in that close proximity. What's the difference? I don't see any difference in it. You know what I'm saying? You got some of your people, you know they be wilding, and you only deal with them, you deal with them like this. I still talk to you, I still come see you, but you deal with them like this. You have to do that with the word, because this is your life. This is literally your life. The law tell you that. This is your life. This is not a vain thing for you. This is your life, and you need to start treating it that way. Not something you just do, not something you just talk about, not something you proclaim, but this is your life. Literally. Because there's only one place you go, it's only two places you can go. Enter into the gate of whatever tribe you belong to, or enter into the lake where the worm dies not and the fire shall not be quenched. That's it. Because it ain't like if you don't commit crimes and you don't never go to jail or prison. You know what I'm saying? There's only one or two places you can go with this, and this is your life. So don't choose death. Do not choose death. It doesn't make sense to choose death when you can choose eternal life. To choose death means that you are surely an idiot. Or you just don't believe anything that the man says. Go ahead. What I got you? Are we still in Revelation? Are we in the Revelation? Go ahead and read that Revelation 21 and 4. We got to stop. I ain't got enough time.
It says, Elohim shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
Go to give me 1 Corinthians 15 and 55 though. Make it 53. Children. Thank you.
It says, O death, where is thy sting?
Back me up to 50. Yes, baby. I see. Go ahead. Give me verse 50.
Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim.
So understand that. Being carnal, you cannot enter the kingdom of Elohim. You can't make it. You got to be changed. Go ahead.
Neither does corruption inherit incorruption.
So, and you see how what I mentioned before, that flesh and spirit cannot be mixed. You cannot be a corruptible, carnal, fleshly individual and inherit a spiritual, incorruptible gift. It can't happen. Go ahead.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be all changed.
Yep.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Yep.
For this corruptible must be put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality.
So guess what? In order for you to put on immortality, we got to do like what we read in Ephesians 4. You got to put off the old man according to the deceitful lust and put on the new man who's created after true righteousness in Kadesh. Go ahead. Children. Go sit down. Go ahead.
It says, for this corruptible, or it says, so then this corruptible shall put on incorruption, and this mortal shall put on immortality. Then shall be brought to pass, saying, it is written.
Then it's brought to pass what?
Death is swallowed up in victory.
In victory. This is why the sighing and the sorrowing and the joy come in at. And you should be joyful right now, knowing that this pain is going to flee away. Go ahead.
It says, the sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Elohim, which giveth us the victory through our Master Yahushua Mashiach. Therefore, my beloved brother, be ye steadfast.
Be what?
Steadfast.
Why?
Unmovable. Always abounding in the work of the Master, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in Yahuwah.
Your labor is not in vain in Yahuwah. So hallelujah for Yahushua.